thank you so much for joining us.
Andy, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, you are definitely a multi-hyphenate. You've got a lot going on, acting, producing. What's the main thing in your life right now?
You know, right now, I guess it's like I'm trying to focus on a little bit behind the scenes. I would love to start creating more, as all of us do. And it's a challenge. But I think you see here in Hollywood and the entertainment industry, they are just so thirsty for real stories and something unique. And that's the fun part of creating it. Of course, we got to get it to that next level.
And like you say, real stories. You are doing documentaries. How did you get into docuseries, documentaries, that part of the industry? What made you interested in that?
You know, it seemed like I had for the first part of my career, I worked in television news. I did a lot of investigative reporting. We could have like 5-minute stories, but the second coming of Christ didn't get more than a minute for the most part. So I was like, what could I do with, more time and the resources? Seemed like a natural transition. And I was able to get onto a Facebook Watch show where we did a docuseries, Inside the Madness, Kentucky basketball. We followed them for a season and I loved it. But while it was sports, there's so many other stories to tell out there. And I think, that's fun. And I'm interested in the scripted side as well.
And I think people don't realize when you make a documentary or docuseries, you embed with these folks, with these stories. I mean, you're getting way more footage than people are ever seeing. What is that process like? I guess preparation-wise, and then what it actually ends up being when you're working on something like that.
It was so wild because this was the first time I could really see both sides, understand post-production and production. So they were shooting in Kentucky and following the team all around. Well, I was working in post. So we had a lot of meetings back and forth. I was, selecting the highlights, going through that, helping the editors, also working on the licensing. It was tremendous. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can see now why we have grids, why we have bites, how we can follow the beats of the story. So for me, it was like so cool to see really to develop story, allow it to breathe, see how it happens. And it was a tremendous amount. And this still was a smaller production. And it was awesome in the end, a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you talk about any of the projects that you have coming up that you're working on?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
There's one that I'm working on, Back to One, sort of tells it's the hero's journey if you follow Joseph Campbell, and it really sort of follows my journey through finding yourself, losing everything, and then finding really truly who you are. And I've been working on that, so I got a meeting tomorrow with the producer. They're interested on that. A show called Road to Recovery, where each week me and a different celebrity work with an everyday person who's struggling, and we get them help. It's not celebrity rehab because we don't want to go that far, but I want to teach people about recovery is that even when you stop drinking, it may take years to really get going and still, seeing the rewards come in there. And I've got a podcast, True Crime podcast out there where I went back to work and chased one of the FBI's most wanted in a story I'd covered 20 years ago. Found new leads, just haven't found him yet.
That's wild. That is wild.
Yeah, it's been good.
You yourself have, of course, as you've talked about publicly with this show, podcasts, lots of different interviews, you've had your own troubles with addiction over the years. It sounds like you're trying to make something positive of that time and help others. How do you see that whole portion of your life?
I'm very grateful. It was extremely difficult because I lost everything. I was a TV news anchor, reporter, investigative, successful career that I couldn't see. I have the Emmy Awards, I have the Murrow Awards, I have all those things. I fell in love with my co-anchor, and we had that life. And I should have known maybe at that point that things were happening too quickly and too good all at once. But it was the booze and some drugs in there too that I just couldn't release the stress, the anxiety. I couldn't communicate, the guilt and shame, all those things. And after a while, it's sort of a slow killer. You start losing some friends, maybe a job, finally your wife. I lost it all. So what I'm trying to do with Road to Recovery is educate people along with showing the positive side and just that it takes a lot of time. So I'm coming up on 10 years of being clean and sober, and I'm still living, I'm still picking up those pieces. It takes time, but if you stick with it, it's an amazing journey. And my journey, I'm very grateful. None of that happened, I wouldn't be here with you today.
It's amazing. You never know what people have gone through, what takes them to this point in their lives where they are.
No, and I think that's something that everybody has a story, everybody has a journey. And I think it's very interesting because just like we always hone a craft in acting or filmmaking or whatever, same thing I do with recovery. I've got to stay involved in that. I've got to take care of myself. and keep honing that. Be a better person, so that
Yeah.
I don't fall back in my old character defects, without getting technical terms. But they're still there. Just because I stop doesn't mean everything is perfect. And I've had to learn that. And that's why see people talking about, 30 plus years or whatever, and they're still, working a program, going to AA, whatever it may be. Got to have something, meditating. I don't care what it is, as long as you find it. And I didn't have it for a long time.
Can I ask,
Yeah.
on a daily basis, is it still something that is consuming your thoughts? I mean, even 10 years down the road, is it something you still battle with every day, or have you found a point where you are kind of existing on a slightly different level now?
Well, the need or the craving for drugs or alcohol, that really isn't there. Because I know where it's going to take me. I've been there. I've been really lucky. But the other part where I have to, it's the fears in my mind. It's the guilt and the shame. It's those things that I still have to work on. And it's just those voices. We all have them. And it's just because I'm in recovery, I think maybe I have the tools and a support group where I can be like, hey guys, this is bugging me. And they're like, again, Rob, that's the disease trying to talk you out of all these great things because I don't feel I deserve it. I don't feel I deserve the success. I don't feel like that. And I hear more and more actors and producers, we all fear the same things. And, I have a solid, men's support group, AA meeting. It's 7:15 at a bar, residuals, I mean, only in Hollywood, where it would be. And they're a great group of guys, and they help keep me grounded.
You're saying, I have this experience, maybe this can help you, right?
Yeah, and I think that Hollywood looks for, the stakes being high. And what people don't really realize is, we'll show the mess that brought that person into like recovery or the beginning, but then there's a lot of drama that goes on after that. And that's where people need to hang on. If you're struggling, I have not done everything right. The only thing that I did right was not pick up and use again. And if I keep doing that, then I'll fix it, I'll find different ways, but it's gonna take time, and eventually your life changes. And now I live a dream that I had since I was a young boy growing up in Palos Verdes. And to me, that's amazing. I think you stop drugs and alcohol, Rob Lowe said it, is that when you stop that, your life sort of goes back on the course that it was designed for. And I never saw any of what I do now coming. Never. Never. And that's good and bad. It's been hard.
You said that you grew up in Palos Verdes.
Yeah, for a while, yeah.
So how did you end up in so many different places around the country? Just the jobs taking you around? Or?
Well, for my dad, that was a little bit. We stayed every 3 or 4 years at a place. He'd open up another office, worked in industrial diamonds. And then the television news business would be, you start in a small market and you work your way up. And I met my co-anchor, and then she became my wife. And Chrissy and I then moved to Boise, Idaho, off to Phoenix. Then she went to CNN. We got divorced in Phoenix and stuff. So we moved around a lot in that business. You're chasing the markets. You're chasing the bigger part, the bigger pay too.
Do you ever see a world where you return to that kind of thing? Or
No.
at this point, you're telling different stories now, right?
Yeah,
You found something different.
I have no interest in the way news is now. I mean, that's a story for a whole nother day. But I think that the ability to be able to tell some great stories that are out there, that excites me, and keeping it, where I went to college, at University of Florida and learned journalism, that it's important to me. The facts are important. Both sides of a story are important. And, I'm very grateful in the years. I've won my Emmy Awards, I've won Murrow Awards, I've had all these things. But more importantly, I was a voice for people that didn't have it. And I could go up against the powerful and hold them accountable. And of course, they come back at you. And, that had to do a lot of drinking and stress too. And if I had ways to have accommodated that and actually not use drinking and drugs to release that stress, maybe I'd still be there. But again, I'm much happier. It's hard. You go through it every day too. This business is hard.
Yeah.
But we're still sticking around because I'm not done yet.
Absolutely.
Not yet.
And we know that even though we might be in a valley or something like that, even you didn't know at the time years ago that you were living the dream.
No.
We really do have to look at ourselves and say, okay, we should be happy.
Yeah.
At least in some fashion with what we're doing, with what we're creating.
Absolutely. And that's why selling my Emmy Award on eBay, selling my 1977 Kenner Star Wars collection, while it may have hurt or something, it was much more important for me to be happy. And I've heard executives tell me, and it's hard when you're in the moment, enjoy the journey. Don't forget it's a journey. It's not about the destination. That's hard because we're all working to try to pay the bills, live in a very expensive place, in a very competitive market, making content to be seen. Woo!
Yeah.
I mean, just that alone makes me want to fall out of the chair.
Well, and everyone loves to say, there's never been a better chance than now. There's so many channels, there's so many streaming services, and while that is true, and that might bode well for us, it is still incredibly competitive. And, you know, we really have to claw our way to get anybody's attention.
Yep.
So I respect you working on all of these different projects, being ambitious and saying, I want to bring them to fruition, because it's hard.
Oh, it's so hard. But like you, I mean, you're putting stuff out there, you're doing it. And I don't think probably there's a 1% that probably, I don't want to be the person that talks about it. Sylvester Stallone said it once. He said, you know, this is the thing that drove him nuts, is the fact that he just wanted that chance. And if you got the chance, maybe, you know, a couple times or at least once, you know, you tried. But it's the fact if you never get that shot will drive you crazy in this town. That sort of gives me the chills. I mean, he's right.
Yeah.
That summed up Hollywood perfectly. Whatever
Absolutely.
it is, filmmaking, acting, whatever it may be.
Totally.
You just want that shot.
Yeah.
At least where I can say, I've tried it. They want the sure thing. Well, so do I. But they also want us to fund the sure thing, you know, to the point where we don't have necessarily the money to do that, but we can get the concepts there. And then, look, I understand, it's their necks on the line.
Yeah.
Ton of money on these projects. If it fails, it's millions and millions of dollars. And they don't want to be that person. But, you know, hey, man, you know, I talk about, or we hear about people that took that leap of faith. You know, The Rock, all these people have done it.
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg, I mean, you go on and on. You know,
Absolutely.
Angelina Jolie, Jordan Peele. I mean, it goes on and on.
And that's why we're here, we're doing it. I mean, we are saying, let's take the leap, let's see what we can create. And so far, it's been really nice to hear all these people's stories and to build up the short form on TikTok and Instagram. And that actually has been fun and silly, because I didn't ever think that was something I was interested in. But I, once again, was thinking, God, I'm not really doing that many comedy things. I guess I'll have to create that for myself.
Yeah.
And it's actually been really enjoyable. I've had fun with it.
Well, they're good, and the fact that you keep doing it, that look, it's not going to happen overnight. You know, all of a sudden you see one actor or something, or one producer, or one director, and they got this great film. As soon as I go back and look, I'm like, oh my gosh, Quentin Tarantino's in the background of The Golden Girls. He used that money for Reservoir Dogs, you know, so he could make it. So you're doing what people should. Don't give up. Keep creating it out there. It's not going to be like this instant. I want it instant. I want the yes. I don't want to put myself out there to hear the no. But I got to, and I have, you know, coaches, and, you know, that they're like, Rob, you're just waiting for that yes. You're going to get a lot of no's. And I'm like, I know, enough. You know, I don't need any more no's. I got my own ego.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Well, Rob, thank you so much
Thank you, Andy.
for talking to me. I feel like I learned a lot about you. I'm excited to see all this stuff that you're working on that'll be coming next.
too.
So I'll be
Keep
looking out
going.
for that. Thank you.
Yep. More than 20 million Americans are battling addiction every day in this country. It's become so bad, it's a national epidemic.
Cunning and baffling and powerful.
I'm Rob Koebel, and I know what the disease can do firsthand. I was an Emmy Award Winning investigative reporter. I understand you're selling K2. Do you understand that that's against the law now? There's a lot of people who gave tuition. What happened to the school? Will you be giving their money back? I had everything I ever imagined. I had my dream job. I had a beautiful wife, but in the background was alcohol. And that disease destroyed my entire career.
Could you send a squad over to the Apple Store?
Glendale police arrested today's TMJ4 reporter Rob Koebel. Security spotted him urinating outside one of the stores.
And it got pretty bad. Addiction ripped apart my marriage, and the woman I loved got up and left.
I couldn't make him less angry. I couldn't make him stop lying. I couldn't make him drink less.
And that Emmy Award, well, I sold it to a guy on eBay in Germany. What was I gonna do? I was desperate and I needed the money. Well, I can tell you a lot of things changed in 6 years. Now I'm traveling the country, making sure that addicts get the help that they need. But I'm not doing this alone. Daryl Strawberry.
Good to be with you.
Good. Thank you for coming in, man.
Yeah.
Each week, a different celebrity who has battled addiction will join me and share their story. Daryl, I want you to meet a baseball player who got into opiates and he needs our help.
Just open the door for me and let me know. I'll walk right through it and I'll help.
Together, we'll introduce the audience to an everyday person who's struggling with the disease and needs our help. I was telling you about this young man, and I wanted you to meet Daryl Strawberry.
Yes. forward to helping you. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you a garbage man or a Hollywood star, whatever it is. We all gonna struggle in the midst of addiction.
With my friend Rob, he's famous, but we're gonna keep him under wraps right now.
Together, my celebrity guest and I will bring hope and the kind of addiction treatment that most people just simply can't afford. You come through these gates, and this is a mansion.
This is where you start your treatment.
Won't you help me sober up? Growing up, it made me numb, and I wanna feel something.
And you get the drugs and alcohol out of your system. The nurses and doctors help you through it safely.
I feel like I have a second chance.
If a stranger came up to me and said, I can't stop drinking, can you help me? I can say yes.
Won't you help me sober up?
I'm Rob Koebel, and this is Road to Recovery.